Okay, so Dimi Hospitals was founded in 1982, and I rebranded in 2016 when I took over, and then grown it since then more than 400. We moved from about 160 to about over 430 now, 440 staff now. We've also more or less increased our revenue dramatically over this time. We've had a Stanford Sea Transformation Program certificate. We've had multiple awards. We have expanded to do all specialties. In fact, right now we are doing a kidney transplant. I just left the hospital. They should have off with the kidney transplant in one of our hospitals. So the things I'm going to be teaching today are practical, and they are things which I have used over the years and compressed. The topic is long, so I will just skim over some things, and then maybe if you have specific questions, I will now address them. Um, so this is who essentially we are, and I want to say that a lot of times when we hear the theory around management and leadership, some people feel like it is Oyinbo stuff. It doesn't work here in Nigeria, but that's not true. It works. It works, and it works very well. In fact, it creates a lot of increase in patient satisfaction, in healthcare outcomes, increase in revenue if that's what you if that's the main thing you're after. It increases revenue dramatically. And here are some key things. And these are some of our hospitals that I'm just showing you. And by God's grace, we'll be going more hospitals very soon. So I'm not going to give you other three, the outline, other three things. Number one, an introduction. Um, what's this all about? What is about team management, building high performance teams, people management? What's it all about? And then number two, I will talk about something that I like to, the term I like to use, called sharing the insomnia. Not only the leader should not be finding it hard to sleep at night. I mean, if you are struggling to, you are up at night to wondering whether it's my business going well, is my hospital moving fine. We're going to help you share the insomnia. Let other people also not sleep as well if you are not sleeping. And then what's next? How do we domesticate the talk? So at the end of the webinar, I hope that you will have learned why teams are important to the healthcare institution, how to create teams, how to align them, how to lead and motivate a team effectively, how to continuously optimize performance, how to use teams as a strategic force for long-term success, and then why better teams are critical for today's world. Okay, and today's harsh economic environment is more or less a testament to why we need very, very good teams. Okay, so let's get right into it. I'm sure you know this popular TV series, and I'm just using them as healthcare workers, but they look really nice. So let's use this hospital, Pangshin Hospital. Hopefully, there's no hospital like this. The name just came to my head. I hope there's no hospital like this. They have 48 staff in their hospital, three departments. This is a case study, and three managers. The staff feels it's us versus them. That is staff versus management. Patient and staff satisfaction is low. The patients are not too happy with the healthcare, but they have little option. Staff too are not happy. Last week, a patient came in at 3:30 p.m. The doctor on duty sent him hurriedly to the send the patient hurriedly to the lab since she was closing her shift. I mean, the patient came at 3:30, is closing at 4. So the lab noticed a life-threatening result. Potassium was 8.3. But the morning doctor had closed, so they tried to reach the morning doctor. The guy has closed and entered his room already. So now what is happening? They have a life-threatening result. The morning doctor who just quickly sent it has closed. He did not take a good enough history. And now the lab scientist also closed by 4 and also entered the results. And then just entered the results. Even doctor was on locum, I was overwhelmed. So he did not look carefully at the results. And then instead, he treated the patient for typhoid only. So what happened? The patient was brought in dead early the next morning. I'm sure this is a very pathetic story. For those that are joining us, it is purely fictional. For those that are joining us, it's purely fictional, created for the purpose of demonstration. But I'm sure that we can all relate to this story. Doctors tired, patients not happy, people feeling as if it's us versus them, different kinds of things. So I'm sure we can all relate somewhat to this. And so I will just go through it. Can you hear me very well? Somebody said my volume is low. If you can hear me, I need somebody to let me know
Yes,
if
I can hear you clearly from my side.
We
It's
can hear
clear
you.
and
great.
audible.
Your volume.
All right, great. So I'm sure
I can hear you. Increase the volume, doctor. I can't hear you clearly here.
Okay. So we are going to do a poll now. Who is at fault in this case? The morning doctor, the evening doctor, the lab scientist, or the medical director, the person running the hospital? Who is at fault? Can we share the poll, please? I can't remember who was doing the polls for me. Yes, can we share the polls? Who is at fault in this Pangshin hospital for the story we have just done? Can we just answer, engage? Is it the morning doctor who closed, who sent it hurriedly? The evening doctor who was very busy? Is it the lab scientist who saw the lab results and entered it on the system? Or is it the medical director who runs the entire hospital? Who is at fault? Can we attempt the question? Make sure you give an attempt. The poll is totally anonymous. So
Sorry, I'm selecting the option. The submit option button is not enabled.
I think you put all of them as 5 questions at once.
Yes.
Okay, did not set it for. Okay, no problem. We'll continue. We can put it in the chat box. Can we use the chat box instead? Let's use the chat box instead, since this is giving us some problem. Let's use the chat box. Who do we think is at fault? Somebody said the morning doctor. Somebody said the medical director. Medical director was at home. Why he was on leave? Okay, medical director, morning doctor who hurriedly closed. Prof said the morning doctor, medical director, or the lab scientist. The lab scientist. So please, can we keep our mics on mute? Morning doctor most at fault, somebody said. Okay, but the person was overworked. Okay, so let's go on. As we go on, we will address it. Thank you very much for all your responses. So let's see. There's a serious problem in terms of pandemic, a healthcare pandemic. People are leaving. A lot of people are leaving. Nigerian healthcare workers visas at 2021 was 13,000. I mean, how many healthcare workers do we have as a whole in the country? That we have 13,000 who currently have an active health working visa. And within 6 months, from December 2021 to about May 2022, 727 doctors left. I mean, how many doctors graduated in the same period? So there's a lot of health support staff deficiency. People are not really trained in operations, in claims, in management, and all of that. So we have this problem also. When staff says, "In my father's business," and you can see the picture, says, "I really and respectfully do not care." The person has closed, he has closed. The person entered the result, he has gone home. What happens to the patient does not matter. So having a high performance team is critical for everything. Critical for the patient, is critical for the doctor, critical for everything. But if our staff and our team members are thinking like this, then we're in serious trouble. Okay, now it's just the tip of the iceberg. The attrition, the low profitability are the things that you can see. The low customer satisfaction are the things that you can see when are the things that are visible. Revenue loss. Okay, but that is not all. There are so many other things that happen under the scene. There is no commitment, motivation is low, morale is low, people do not feel a sense of ownership. There's a lot of invisible stuff that is happening. People are working in functional silos, you know. So all of these things play a very, very big role in the outcome. So what you are seeing, it looks like, even though it looks like just the things people are just not happy at work, but if your team is not functioning well, it causes loss of money. Hospitals shut down because staff do not have an ownership mentality. Only the medical director must be around to see all the patients. And like some people said, it is the medical director's fault for what happens. Okay, what else is the cost of nonchalance? Some people even go beyond to drag down the hospital. That is, it's not only that they don't work well, they begin to speak bad about the place they are working for. Customer complaints increase, deadlines are missing, we have high turnover rates of staff, people are constantly complaining, and very importantly, people do not give any extra effort. Some people undermine, you know, these things cost a lot of money. So these are some of these things. In healthcare particularly, poor patient satisfaction, errors are increased, staff turnover is increased, deaths, misidentification, a lot of adverse effects happen. So we cannot joke with this, that the employee is just working, that the staff is just working, that the doctor, that the nurse is just working. These are critical things that we need to take very strong ideas. So what is employee engagement? A lot of times, a lot of people just talk about satisfaction. Are my team members satisfied? But that is not enough. We have moved on in people management to talk about employee engagement, and that is what I want us to talk about a little bit more today. What is employee engagement? Employees are said to be engaged to the degree to which they are invested in, motivated by, passionate about, and they put in discretionary effort towards the work they do and the company or hospital for which they work for. So these four things are critical. But if I tell you the most critical is D. Put in discretionary efforts. Employees are to the degree to which they put in discretionary effort. That word is important. Discretionary effort simply means that if they do this or they don't do this, if they smile at a patient or they don't smile at a patient, they don't get any extra money for that. If they take extra care, go the extra mile, it's at their own discretion. So the ability to which an employee is willing, happy, excited, motivated to put in discretionary effort for what they are doing, the work they are doing, the lab work, the nursing work, whatever they are doing, and for the company is now what is employee engagement refers to. And employee satisfaction is just that. The staff are satisfied. You can a lot of times have satisfied staff, the company is treating them well, but they are not putting any discretionary effort. You know, I used to joke with some of my staff that it seems that they make sure that 501 and not or 401 will not miss them in the office, not for me. That is just a small index or indicator of called people management. People management. How can you manage people? It's like saying you are doing spouse management in marriage. Every individual has goals, aspirations, dreams, different things. So technically speaking, people are not just resources that can easily be managed. They have their individuals. Even when it comes to religious things, it's not nobody just manages people. They have to be part of it. They cannot be cajoled or manipulated if you are going to get true engagement on the long term. I mean, of course, if you are aiming for short-term movement, you're talking with your plumber, somebody that's working for you part-time, then you can use all those things. But really, you can only care for people that manage processes. You cannot really manage people because they are, it's like saying you want to manage your spouse in a long-term marriage. You can't manage your spouse. Okay, you can align, you can work towards, you can work together. So people management is a technical misnomer, but we use the term nonetheless. Instead, the term people alignment may be better. That is, as leaders, as in the healthcare industry and otherwise, we are striving to align the right people to fulfill their own ambitions on the company's platform of shared goals and ambitions through the right systems. What you can manage are the other things. You can manage the company's platform so that other people can have an ability to find the expression of their own individual selves. You can manage the systems that people are working in. You can manage all of these things, but the managing of the people is critical. Is difficult. Once you, all you can do is to align. So you find somebody that is already going in the direction of the company, and then you help them align by creating a company platform that they can use the company to fulfill their own goals and ambitions. Okay, so this is the essence of it. And it's about you as a company, first of all, having the right corporate identity, having the right corporate leadership, then having the right strategy, the right systems, the right people, putting everything together to make sure that people can align easily. Otherwise, you have people that are going in different directions in your company, and it does not matter what you do, you will still find yourself like the hospital that we talked about. All right. So let's go through our different rights on the second aspect, sharing the insomnia. Sharing the insomnia is about sharing your sleepless nights as a leader with your staff. Can you imagine if all staff at the same time are thinking about how to move the company forward, the hospital forward, not just the medical director, not just the manager? Can you imagine if everybody is trying to do all of that at the same time? Wow, what a big force that will be. And that is what people alignment is all about. And that is what sharing the insomnia is all about. Okay, so how I want to share the insomnia? It is exactly by using this graphic here. And I'll go through them one by one, and I'm sure you will really, really enjoy it as we go ahead. For those just joining in, thank you for joining us. We are talking about building high performance teams in healthcare institutions, and we have gone through a case study of Pangshin Hospital where a patient died due to handover and nonchalance of people, and we have talked about the importance. So right now we're talking about how to share the insomnia with your people. So first, the right strategy. I will explain strategy with this concept, which I call the concept of total value. And a lot of it is gotten from Felix Obed-Holzer's work from Harvard Business School. So you look at the concept of total value. What is the concept of total of total value? What does it entail? It entails the fact that number one, we call value, and this is strategy. Value is anything, any service or product that the customer is willing and able to pay for. So if I get to a hospital and I want to see a doctor, I am willing and I am able to pay for it, then that is considered as value in terms of total value. Now, what else? Now, what is strategy? In strategy, however, we define value as the difference between the willingness to buy and the willingness to sell. The willingness to buy is on the part of the willingness to sell is on the part of the healthcare institution, while the willingness to buy is on the part of the patient, the customer, the relative, whoever. That is in strategy the defining value of value. So we said the difference between willingness to buy on the part of the patient or the customer and willingness to sell on the part of the hospital, its employees, its staff. So what does this mean? The total value created, as you are seeing in this slide here, is the customer value, the organizational profits, and the employee value or vendor value. So if I sell a consultation to see an interventional cardiologist for 1,000 naira, if the customer is willing to pay 100,000 naira and I charge 1,000 naira, that difference between the customer's willingness to buy and the price I charge is called customer delight. That is, for if I wanted to buy an iPhone, and I think iPhone 15 is now almost 2 million, and somebody sold it to me for 50,000 naira, I will have extreme delight. Why? I was able theoretically to pay 2 million and I was willing to pay 2 million. But this person sold it to me for 50,000. My delight, therefore, can be calculated as the difference between what I was willing to pay and what I actually paid. So that is customer delight. So look at this thing very well. This is willingness. This is how to define total value in strategy. Just follow me. It will get a little bit complex, but you will now understand it in a very short while as to why this is the key to in terms of employee performance. Now, in terms of staff performance, I can also increase the willingness to sell by staff by increasing, once staff increase their willingness to sell, or they are more willing to sell than are willing to and is available, the staff become delighted. So let's assume the staff was willing to give value for 10,000 naira. They came to your interview and they said, sir, if you pay me 100,000 naira, I'll be so happy. Meanwhile, you normally pay 200,000. They were thinking, no, they would just come and they will work in a place, and they came there and you gave them a fantastic training, you gave them a fantastic package, you gave them all of that, you gave them fantastic developmental parts. That difference between what they were willing to sell for and what you have given them is what we now define as staff delight. And the same happens for vendor delight. And there's a lot of papers about around this. So this is now total value created. So again, every time we want to increase value, so right now things are getting worse. Inflation is double digit, 20-something%. We now want to say we want to increase value for the customer. We have to increase the customer's value by increasing their willingness to buy. Also, staff need more money and other things, but we have to increase their willingness to sell. Now, this is where it gets complicated. The willingness to buy, if I just simply reduce price, willingness to buy will increase. Hello, is anybody with me? Let me come back to this slide. If I want more customers to buy, all I need to do is to reduce the price, and I will increase their delight. I will increase their delight. I will increase their delight. I will increase the value that they feel that they are getting. But really, in essence, what I have just done is that I have not really increased value. I have only reduced the organizational value and profit. So let's look at it this way. I'm going to annotate my screen. Hope this works well. If I reduce price for the customer, I hope you can see my arrow. If I reduce price for the customer is happier. The value of the customer remains the same. But what I have done is that I have now, in essence, just simply reduced the organizational value and profit. And that may not really increase total value. And what we want to do in strategy is to increase the total value that we are creating, not just to increase the willingness to sell or willingness to buy. All right. So I will go further like that. So how do we now increase this willingness to buy for the customer? Instead of just adjusting price, which is just reducing price, which will affect value and profit. In a lot of cases, we need to even increase price because things are going wrong. In those cases now, we have to increase the convenience of the customer. For example, reduce waste time. We have to increase their pleasure, which only our staff can give. We have to solve more problems for them. And in that, rather than just redistributing value, anytime you change price, you are only redistributing value. You need to actually increase value, not just redistribute value. And what you don't want as an organization is to redistribute value from your pockets to just the value of to the customer. So also for the employee ones that we're talking about now, so sometimes we just go straight and we say, no, for this, we want to increase the staff salary. That is good. But really, when you're increasing the staff salary, yes, you're increasing willingness to sell. But where is the money coming from? Because you did not increase value. You are only also just simply affecting the organizational value and profit. And really, what you want to do beyond increasing salary, which is also important, what you really want to do is to increase the total value that you have created for the customer and for the employee. So there are other ways to increase employee value. So you want to increase employee value by making sure they have great equipment to work with. Their work is clear. They have clear benefits. they understand the relevance of their work, they have more meaningful work, they have shared interests, then the total value is increased. And if you're able to also do the same on the customer and you truly will be able to increase your employee payouts and affect your price without losing your customers. And in fact, invariably increasing the number of staff that are increasing the willingness to sell. So for the employee, we now have to communicate it to them. A lot of times, we may have the we may have the wrong notion of communicating to our staff only the customer-centric way. And that is not what a leader should do. The leader should make sure that they do it both ways. Don't only communicate, okay, this is our company, this is what we offer for our staff, these are the rules and regulations, this is the company mission, this is the company vision, these are the core values, these are very important. But they are not the only way to communicate your willingness to sell or to get increase. You need to be able to do, more importantly, shared values. What do we share? Remember that to improve employee performance, we want to improve alignment, we don't just want to manage them. And to improve alignment, we need to get into them and give them a platform that they can fulfill their own aspirations and dreams. So you want to talk about how your work benefits them, what kind of meaning their work has. How does it help them to fulfill their own purpose and vision? How does it help our shared interests? This is how you get your members of your team to contribute more meaningfully and to be more engaged. I know this is a little bit technical, but I'll take questions after this and break it down a little bit more. Okay, so understand what I said again is understand that you want to increase the total value. You don't want to just increase payouts. Sometimes you are even increasing payouts for staff and staff are still living, they're still unengaged, they are still angry with management because you did not understand that you need to have the concept of total value. Okay, having done that, what's the next thing you need to do now? Will Pangshin Hospital, like we said, needs to do? We need to have the right measures. We need to have the right KPIs. What do I mean by the right measures and the right KPIs? KPIs is an acronym for key performance indices. So what are we going to do? So about measurements, I have this maxim which I've expanded from different people. So you don't know what you don't know. Guesses don't count. Guesses cannot be counted, and guesses cannot be improved upon. Are your staff happy? You don't know. Are your patients happy? You don't know. What is your error rate in medications? You don't know. So what you don't know, you don't know. You can just be guessing. That in fact, the best hospital in Nigeria, sometimes those are just guesses. The next point in this is you cannot do what you don't know. Obviously. And you will not know what you don't know unless you measure. And there's a saying in quality management that says, in God we trust, everybody else will bring data. And then you don't measure what you don't value. A lot of us know the exact amount of money we have in our accounts because we value it. If you are not you don't value what you don't measure. Everything that you value, you measure. If you value money, you will measure the amount of money. If you value satisfaction, you will measure it. And if you don't value it enough to measure it, why should anyone else value it or even do it? Why should your staff value it? Why should your staff value errors medication errors? Why should they value it? Why should they even take time to prevent it? Since you don't value it and you're not measuring it. And only what is measured is done, is valued, and can be improved upon. Yes, not everything that matters can be measured. But if you don't start measuring, you cannot improve upon it, you cannot know your current state, and you cannot galvanize your team into proper performance and giving a very good outcome. So how do you choose these measures? KPIs or measures are surrogate markers of direction and speed towards the goal. So are my patients happy? I may not exactly be able to know, but I can find a marker that can tell me that if this is going in this way, then it's very likely that I'm reaching my goal, my patients are happy. Do I have a great cardiac surgery outcome in cardio care? Question is, I now create or find a marker. And if I measure this, it can give an idea. Some people say exam is not the true measure of knowledge. Maybe, maybe not. But it is a surrogate marker. And if you measure this, it may very likely well give you the idea of whether somebody was paying attention to class and what they were able to do. So this is what KPIs are. They are surrogate markers of direction, of speed, and of whether you are attaining the goals. Remember that this will come in two formats. It could either be driver or outcomes. I'll explain that. Drivers are things that you are measuring, that you are doing to give you the outcome that you want. So in Pankshin Hospital, maybe they are measuring the number of tests that have abnormal results that the doctor is called immediately. That is a lead parameter. Now, an outcome parameter is maybe they are measuring the number of patients that were brought in dead because of an error they made. That is a lag parameter. Let me give you another example of a lag parameter. Profits. Are we making profit or not? Profit is a lag parameter because it's when we have done everything, we'll not calculate and say, okay, we made profit. What is a lead parameter for money in a hospital, for example? The number of patients that come in. Maybe, not that's even a lag parameter. Maybe the number of letters you write out to potential customers to use your hospital. Maybe the other things that you do to bring people into your hospital. Those are likely potential. Those are likely potential lead parameters. But so let's move on from there. So determine the critical areas that where you need results to be. Now, for these parameters that you are choosing, make sure they are brief enough to be remembered. For an organization, for a department, try not to have more than 6, maximum 8, but best 4. Just few areas, few markers that you are following per department, per unit, a branch. If you have more than one branch of a hospital, it should be broad enough that when you measure these things, it should truly give you the idea of what you are looking for. But it should be high enough to be aspirational. Let's assume that you are seeing 100 patients a day in your hospital. You cannot give a target for 105 because that's aspirational. As in, people are being born every day. You probably will hit it in no time. And your staff or your team members, your team may not perform highly. It should be high enough, but it should not be too high that you now say you want to move from 100 to 1,000. Then people will just lose hope because it's too high. So it should be brief enough to be remembered, broad enough to represent all areas, high enough to be aspirational, and low enough to be motivational and achievable. So you need to keep this in mind when you are defining this. Take, for example, the football match. We have over 1,000 parameters that are measured when the football team is playing. Like the other week, Chelsea was playing Man City. Up Chelsea. A very entertaining game. Now, if you look at that game and at most football games, there are so many markers. There's expected goals, there's possession, there's distance covered, there's number of passes given, there's percentage number of completed passes, there are so many numbers. There is area of concentration, there is positional play, there's so many markers. But one of the key performance indices that they put 2 or 3 is number 1, score. Number 2, maybe possession. Number 3, shots on targets, something like that. So in most matches, you find those 2 or 3 and maybe fouls. You find those 4 things that are the critical ones. Can you imagine that everybody is playing a match and the football players don't know the score? That sometimes is how we are managing the companies, and how we are managing our departments. Our department members don't know the score. We don't know whether we are winning or whether we are losing. We don't know whether we are going forward or whether we are going backwards. So we just continue and continue and continue doing whatever we think is right, and everybody is not having anything to motivate them because, very simply, there is no scoreboard for them to look at. Okay, give an example now for this Pankshin Hospital this thing, and I want us to give some examples of what we think could be measures that we can use for this Pankshin Hospital so that they can get better and better and better. Can we just write in the chat box some things that we think can be measures This is a very critical exercise so that I can correct anyone you think. I've given some examples here. I put one example, patient satisfaction, prolonged length of stay in the hospital, people on admission, and maybe HMO vetting rates. Maybe some of our HMO members are on this call. Maybe HMO vetting rates. If they are vetting your bills more than a certain percentage, chances are you are doing something wrong. Okay, so can we give some examples in the chat box of what other things that we can thank you? Somebody said abuse. Reduce medication error. Okay, so medication error is something that it's not easy to measure because medication error depends a lot of time on the person that is reporting it, whether the person is reporting themselves. But yes, good. Discharge rates. Discharge rates is not a very good one because if everybody is being discharged, if we have 100% discharge rate or 50% discharge rate, what does it say? Does it say they are good or they are bad? It's not neither good nor bad. So you need to have something that you can measure that is either good or bad. Readmission rate, perfect. Perfect. Readmission rate. So we can add that readmission rate. Repeat visits, perfect. In hospital management, we typically call that representation rate. And that is a parameter that you should typically measure in a lot of hospitals. Good. Readmission rate within 48 hours of discharge. LWOBs, that is somebody from my center, definitely using LWOBs. LWOBs means left without being seen. That is if you are checking the number of people that have come to the hospital and some people left. Turnaround time for critical results. Awesome, awesome. So now for the Panchin hospital management, we need to narrow this down to not more than 6, maximum 8. Maybe profit is there, maybe length of stay. But remember that when you are doing this exercise, that's wait time, perfect. That's somebody else wait time, average length of stay. Pricing of services, no. Pricing is not a KPI. Pricing cannot be a KPI. High price or low price is relative. And sometimes a high price may even be better to allow your patients have the perception that what you are doing is high quality. So no, I'm not talking about finance today, so I will not go too much into that. But just suffice to say that pricing is not perhaps not one of them. Patient turnaround time, the amount of time they spend in the hospital, yes. So high price or low price. So now remember to balance it. Make sure that all the parameters on the board are not all lag parameters. That there are some lead parameters. A lot of what people have been saying are lag parameters. Patient turnaround time is lag. Turnover is lag. Number of discharges is lag. Readmission rate is lag. Representation rate is lag. That is already happened. Can we give some examples of lead parameters? Things that we can do and check, activities that we can check that will actually turn things better for us, for our good. Can anybody try? Can anybody try? Number of patients seen, perfect. That is semi-lag, semi-lag is a bit of this. Number of patients seen is lag. Social media posts daily. Somebody says social media posts daily. Perfect. That is a lead parameter. How many social media posts were made every day or in a week, for example? Perfect. Follow-up after discharge. Perfect. 24, 48 hours follow-up after discharge. Perfect. If you do that more, you will have less people coming back in bed or coming back with representation, maybe because they missed their drugs or they were confused. So that is a perfect lead parameter. Okay, good. So let's go on to other things. I hope we are getting how to share the insomnia. Now, you also need to break this down to the departments. Let's assume you have the nurses department. They also should have their parameters for the nurses. You have one for the entire hospital. But each team must have their own KPIs so that they can run with. Remember, we don't want Chelsea and Man City to be playing without a scoreboard, without timer, without any statistics. It's just without a goalpost. It is futility. They will play forever. Okay, so number 4 now, right systems. We've talked about the right measures, talked about the right strategy first, and we talked about the concept of total value. Talk about the right measures, things that we can use to know which direction or speed we are going in. And now we're talking about the right systems. If you're just joining us, this is Healthcare Leadership Academy. My name is Dr. Iseko. I'm talking about building high performance teams in healthcare institutions. So the next thing is to have right system. And right systems in terms of people alignment is in 3 formats. Number 1, the architecture of the team. Number 2, the routines of the team. And number 3, the alignment of the team. I don't have too much time, but I will just So I'll talk about two of these. There's this saying, culture is strategy for breakfast. How many people have heard this saying before? Just give a thumbs up if you have heard this saying before. If you are from Limi Hospital, if you're a manager at Limi Hospital, by the way, thumbs up for Limi Hospital managers. At least we have close to 40 managers or 70 managers, I think, across branches. Okay, so how many people have heard this? Just give a thumbs up if you've heard this saying. Now, the flip side of this saying is what I normally like to say. Therefore, turn your strategy into culture. If culture is going to eat strategy for breakfast, you must be able to make your strategy a culture. And how do you do that? You do that with the system. So let me give an example of routines. These are routines that keep the team performing highly. The first routine, which I believe is the most critical one, is daily huddles. It's daily huddles. And if you want to find out more about daily huddles, I don't think I have a video on that, but you can read a book called Lean Daily Management by Brad White, I think. So daily huddles in healthcare, what is it? Daily huddles has 4 S's more or less. It is a sacrosanct meeting. It's at the beginning of every shift. It is standing, and the reason it is standing is so that it's not, we don't spend the whole day doing the huddle. People can walk fast and do it, be done with it. It is a short-term review. We are looking forward, looking backwards for the last 24 hours, what we're going to accomplish in terms of our KPIs. And we are looking forward to the next 24 hours, what is our plan to improve those KPIs. So if you are punching hospital doctors in the morning or at the end of that shift, they will have stood together, and that morning doctor will have told the evening doctor, our KPIs today were this, our numbers were this. I have so person. This is the plan for the next 24 hours. I have sent 4 people to the lab. These 2 are critical, and you need to make sure you look out for them to get their results. That will have solved that problem. Okay. Now, what are you checking in that stand-up review for? You use a board, a visual board, and I'll give you an example of that board. Where you are looking at your KPIs. Look at those KPIs you're managing daily. Look at number 2, orchids. Orchids are flowers. What thing did you do well? And praise the team. Everybody does well with praise. So what things did you do well? Number 3 is, on that status check, is onions. What did you do badly? What things can you improve upon? And number 4, what obstacles did you encounter? This is very critical to managing your teams, because as top management, you quickly are able to get key things that are impeding your people from reaching their their targets, their goals. Able to identify it quickly if this escalated very well. So in 15 minutes, you look at your board, you look at your KPIs for yesterday, you look at what you did well, what you could do better, look at the things that are obstacles, and you quickly assign them and you move on. And at the end of that shift, you have key things to run with. The next kind of routine that is critical is a weekly meeting. This typically is an alignment, empowerment, and a status check. Alignment, empowerment, and a status check. Never ever confuse meetings to be just let us come and meet. Meetings are typically times for alignment. The key tool of the leader in these meetings is communication. The leader must prepare very well for this meeting to speak. And when he finishes speaking, people are empowered. People are motivated. People are realigned. They have forgotten why they were working in this hospital, in Pankin Hospital. Now they remember that they are here because they want to impact Nigeria. They want to be better, And then they're looking at how far you have gone. The third thing is a performance review, which most people call appraisals. Performance review in the healthcare team must happen in 3 formats. One is a self-appraisal. Everybody must have an opportunity to appraise themselves against what they think they should have achieved. Then, if you are big enough, you should have a peer appraisal, because you as the manager, as the leader, do not know everybody really very well. If their peers who used to do something and we ask them, who do you think is your worst staff in your department? And without fail, everybody says the same 2 or 3 names, which you, the manager, may have been thinking of promoting. Now, I heard of a big hospital in Lagos that promoted some people, and a lot of people just resigned because they promoted the worst staff that everybody thinks or assumes are the worst people. And then the final one is the manager appraisal. And we typically will go through all of these things to make sure that they all align and that any differences are quickly corrected. And number 4 is welfare and bonding activities. This creates a sense of meaning, a sense of belonging. This involves work plans, rosters, birthdays, parties, staff support programs, whether there's a staff boss or other things. All of these routines are critical in creating the right system. Remember now that we are not trying to manage people, we are only trying to align people. We're only trying to give them an opportunity and a platform on which they can fulfill their own goals, not the other way around. Okay, this is an example of a daily huddle. This is Cleveland Clinic on the left. This is one of the hospital branches on the right. Doing a daily huddle. Stand-up meeting, there's a board to the right, which you cannot see, that they are all looking at. The board is showing them the different huddle parameters. And no two departments have the same huddle parameters. No two hospitals, even though the nursing department of one hospital and hospital of another hospital will likely not have the same parameters. Why? They are tracking different things. They mean different things. Now, setting KPIs is a different ballgame. So this is an example of a board that somebody uses in their morning daily huddle meeting. You can see the huddle KPIs, you can see the targets, and then they will now fill in every day what they observed. And then any work they have in progress, maybe number of admissions, maybe how many patients we have today, maybe how many peri-op, maybe how many transfers in, transfer out, maybe quality programs, maybe challenges. So if they list a challenge during the huddle, don't solve it during the huddle. Just write it down, assign it to somebody, and the next day you get a feedback from that. It doesn't slow down your huddle. This is an example of weekly meetings. So this is doctors meeting in one of our branches, and you can see on a weekly meeting, I'm going through reviewing all that is necessary to be done. This is one of the branches. These are doctors that are reviewing their work. So this weekly meeting, remember that the first and most important reason for the meeting is alignment. It's not to give announcements. It's not to warn people about what you don't like or what you like. No, make sure that they are aligned to where you are going, to make them remember why they joined the organization, what they wanted to achieve for their own lives, and how your organization is actually what your organization is doing to fulfill that. Number 5, we're getting to the end. Don't get tired of me. The right people. You must find and keep the right people. It's not about trying to get anybody in. I know right now there's a lot of shortage of healthcare workers, and then trying to manage them, you will suffer trying to manage. You cannot really manage our line with wrong people because they're going in a different direction than you. So find the right people. And more important, or I don't want to say more important, just as important, is also finding who are the wrong people in your organization. One wrong person can undo your work of nearly 30, 40 years. Our organization has been there for over 40 years. In fact, one day I went to a meeting and I said, this is what we are going to do. And somebody said it's not possible. That's the I had to move that person out immediately. Move the person to a store or somewhere, move the person out of that team. Why? Because that singular statement will undo even hours, months of work. If that person says, forget what MD is saying, this thing is not what, and somebody kills themselves, you must find those people that are spreading those contagions because it is very difficult to heal. All these things I've said, one wrong person can uproot it. Look, there are no contentious issues. They are just contentious people. And you must find those people because they spread like Ebola in the organization. So there are 4 reasons why people work. The first is to make a living, survival. You just want their salaries. And those people that are working for a living, salary is never enough. There's no amount of money that will ever be enough. You will continue and they will continue. So when you are choosing people for work, make sure you know why they are coming to work. Try and decipher it. Sometimes it's not easy. But if you look carefully, you probably could fathom what is this. Now, some other people are there just to look like the Joneses. Sorry for the typo, just look like the Joneses. Status. They are working in a great hospital. Some people are Japan because everybody else is Japan. Not because of anything else. They also want to be among the people that are Japan. Then there's another group of people that are there for liberty, autonomy. They are looking for an ability to contribute, innovate. They want to see what they are doing. And this is why all this is important. Because it gives everybody an opportunity to contribute their own quota. Every single person in the organization must belong to a huddle or a meeting where they are sharing these things. And number 4, those that are working for legacy, for purpose, for service to others. Those are typically the people that you find them. They will tell you, this is why I'm working. This is why I want to live where I'm working. This is why I want to join you. you will feel the kinship. Those are the people that you really want to have. Now, I know it's not very easy. Who are these right people? It's like people that get on a bus. You can see two buses here. No matter what, if I enter a plane going to London and I know I'm going to Kebbi State, it does not matter how good that plane is. It does not matter whether I'm in first class. It does not matter what the people do for me. That plane will always be wrong. I will be a nuisance to everybody on that plane. Same thing in our workforce and our teams. You get the wrong people, they will give you a lot of trouble. So they must move in the same direction. They must also have the same destination. They must also agree on the rules of transport, and they must respect you as the leader if you are the leader, or whoever is the leadership. So they must respect. So these four things are, and this is what you are looking for when you are recruiting. So that you don't find people that are struggling to get aligned. No, you find people that are already aligned. You just need to shift them a bit left or right. You just need to explain to them what you are doing, and they can easily find expression for themselves. Number 6, I'm coming to the end. One more after this is right incentives. Incentives. You have measured the KPIs. You have collected the right people. You have the right strategy. Now you need to incentivize. If the right people are chosen, the success is his own reward. If you just publish that, okay, cardio care has done over 600 successful cardiac surgeries, the person is just happy just by that news alone, and that he is the one that makes. Now, there are also other things that improve their willingness to sell, that make it easy for them to work, things that influence their behavior or promote alignment. And this could be financial or non-financial. Sometimes we make a mistake thinking that everything is financial, and sometimes we make a mistake thinking that everything is not financial. Since my internet is unstable. Okay. So can we give an example of some incentives that we can give to staff? Can we give an example of incentives that we can give to staff to improve their willingness to sell? If you remember what we started at the beginning. Can we give an example of some incentives? Non-financial. Okay, awards. Thank you. Thank you, Doc. Awards. Career development. Great. Great. Trainings. Respect. Awesome. Respect for them. Vacation vouchers. That is nice. Mr. Victor, hope you are hearing that. My HR manager. Trainings and development. Great. So those are some things you can do to improve. Sponsorship for trainings. Recognition. Recognition is awesome. Recognition is awesome. So these are a lot of psychological safety, making them feel safe at work. These are a lot of things you can do to improve them besides just money. Money is important, but money is not enough a lot of times. Also, it does not matter the amount of incentives. If you have the wrong person on your ship and you are going to Kebbi when they want to go to London, no matter what happens, you can never, ever, ever incentivize them. Whatever you are doing, you will just be adjusting it. And remember what we said, that you must also remember to improve the overall value, not just to redistribute value. Now, as part of incentive, this is a caveat. The incentive must be balanced. Every single incentive, money, otherwise, has a positive and negative effect. Every single incentive has a positive and a negative effect. I can tell you from experience, if you give rice to everybody at Christmas, the time will come when that rice will become a problem. I'm telling you, we've done that, and it has also cost trouble. If you give birthday gifts to everybody, a time will come when it becomes their entitlement, and it could be a problem. So just remember that even though an incentive is positive, it's supposed to be positive, there is almost always a negative effect to every incentive, and you must know what it is. If you're incentivizing a particular thing, let's say you're incentivizing number of patients seen, people will prioritize number of patients seen over the quality of the care they are giving that patient. And so by simply increasing number of paying people for extra patients seen, you might see not higher number of patients seen, but you might decrease patient satisfaction. Some people cannot care. Number 2 example of negative impression, you could kill intrinsic motivation. Somebody was doing the work because they just loved it. They absolutely love seeing patients, people smile. You now introduce that you'll be paying them 1 naira per something. And slowly but surely, that initial love and reason they wake up in the morning gets killed, and they start chasing that 1 naira, 2 naira. And they stop giving a damn about anybody. Sorry for my English. Number two, staff can become transactional. They start saying, okay, where's my own? Oh, what about this? What about that? And anything that is not measured may become, and there's an example in Kenya. They started incentivizing HIV treatment. And when what they noticed after 6 months was TB, malaria went through the roof. Deaths from those ones were unimaginable. And the reason was simple. What you incentivize will grow. And what you do not incentivize will get worse and worse. And finally, one of the negative ones is that the KPI itself can become the target. Let's assume you're measuring patient satisfaction and you are incentivizing people for patient satisfaction. People can now start giving patient satisfaction. I went to a very notable hotel in Lagos when I was in Lagos the last time, and I slept there and enjoyed myself. While I was there, I had some problems in the room and some things. And I called, they did not answer me. They did not really care about answering me. But when I was checking out, the receptionist and everybody in the front desk made it a point to beg me, please, I should give them a 10 over 10 rating. Please. I said, but these things happen. Why would I give a 10 over 10? Your management will not find out how to improve. They said, please, that they'll look into it. Meanwhile, when I was calling them over and over again, they didn't answer me. So in that case, the KPI has become a target, not an indicator. They're no longer looking at patients or as a patients. Hotel guests are satisfied or they fulfill their needs. They are just only interested in what the hotel guests feel. So the KPI becomes a target, and this is a very key problem that can happen with incentives. So you must choose well, very critically, and balance it. Some people started paying for surgeries done, and they will see surgeries increase, but sometimes infections might increase as well. Other things might increase as well. Okay, the right leadership, the right leadership. So I hope, okay, we don't have the poll working very well. For these two pictures that we are seeing, leader A, leader B, who do we think is the better leader? Leader A, you can answer in the chat box. Leader A, leader B, who do we think is the better leader between leader A or leader B? Somebody said A, somebody said B. B, B, B. Okay, great, great. Who do we think is the better leader? B, okay, B. I'm seeing much more B's. Okay, A. Okay, great, great, great. Okay, try. Please put it up. Who do you think is a better leader? A or B? A or B? Somebody said A, somebody said B. B. Great, awesome. I think I know we're theoretically ending the poll. But for those that cannot see the box, I would say almost everybody is saying B. Almost 80-90% says B. The correct answer for people that have known me with this question knows that the correct answer is it depends. It depends. If you are B, which everybody seems to be, you cannot see the big picture. You are inside the gully with the people. Great, servant leader, Okpe, Oshe, let us clap for you. But how will you see where you are going? How will you see which direction that you are going if you are only in the trenches, walking? And this sometimes is the problem in healthcare institutions. The doctor, medical director, chief surgeon, head, the person that only him everybody wants to see. If they don't see you, they will not get well. Oh, doctor, if not for you, I would have died. They jump into the trenches and they forget to see the direction that the hospital is going, to see the trends of the industry. So even though they are somehow good, they lose track of the bigger picture. Because so while in some instances, yes, you need to get down into the trenches. You need to get down to the trenches sometimes, but remember that you are a leader. A leader is the head because they can see ahead. A leader is the head because they can see ahead. And oftentimes you cannot see ahead if you are down also in the trenches with them as well. So you need to take time. You need to take time to make sure that you are not just operational, that you are also strategic as well. I'm soon rounding up, so I'll just be taking the final slides. Thank you all for participating. I'm sure that was a good one. So that is this. So look at this for the leader. Almost all your staff should fall into one of these 4 categories, level 1 to 4. Now there's a more elaborate theory by Blake and Morton. I think so. I think it's Blake and Morton. It's a more elaborate one by Blake and Morton. But look at this. Let's assume people come in typical level 1. You tell them, here's the activity. This is how to do it. Do exactly what you are told. I don't want, I'm not asking for your opinion. Just do exactly what I've told you. Okay? Or like one of my children's cartoon will say, you are not paid to think. Some stuff at that level. Really, this is exactly how I want you to do it. Follow it this way. Some stuff at the next level, which is level 2. Here's the activity. Let me have your opinions. In this case, the staff's autonomy increases to 25%, while the manager's autonomy reduces to, the manager's involvement reduces. In level 1, typically new staff, you employ a new doctor, he's coming from Ukraine last month. They are now working in your hospital. They are now working in your hospital. My brother, most of them are on. If you are joining in, please mute your mic. Most of them are at level 1. You need to show them exactly what it is. Here's our processes. Now, as they get on, they become level 2. You welcome their opinions. Ask them, even sometimes, by the time you get to level 3, it's 50-50. Even ask them, what do they think? So often, when I'm doing a ward round with some of my experienced cardiac nurses, as I'm seeing the guest or as I'm in the cath lab doing a procedure, I ask, what do you think? I asked down to the assistant, that is the theater assistant who helped me the patient in and out. What do you think? A lot of times, if somebody says they don't think we should go like this, so something is wrong. As in, any time you think that you know it all, you are just in for it. And then level 4 is where the person has become, the staff is likely now a manager. You, as the leader, are looking at somebody now growing. At this point, you just say, here's the objective, deliver. Bring innovations. Send me a report. I trust you will do the right thing. Make sure that you don't give the wrong person the wrong level. They will be frustrated, and it does not matter how good you are to them, how much you are doing, you will still have a bad outcome. Okay? So this is critical. This is critical. So make sure you give them. Now, also remember that even though a staff may be at level 4, they may not be at level 4 for every single activity. They may be at level 4 for some activities, and for other activities, they may not be at level 4. Okay, so you need to adjust and then work accordingly. This is the leadership spectrum. But I'll remember the name. I think it's Blake and Morton's leadership model. So next is to talking about the communication. You only have one tool as a leader, one, and that is communication. Only one thing as a leader. That is how are you going to communicate? What are you going to say? What are you going to say? You cannot shout. You cannot beat your people. You can't do anything. Remember, that is alignment. So your main tool is to communicate. And there are two people you are communicating to. Number one, your team. And number two, the higher leadership. You are communicating your expectations. You are inspiring, you're educating them. You are ensuring they understand what you have communicated, and you are improving you are diminishing the gap. Then you are communicating your reports on different activities. So this is your main tool. You must communicate. That is why I don't understand. I really don't understand the Nigerian leadership, where we are not hearing from the leaders. 1 month, only twice a year, or New Year, or something, we just hear pam, 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 pam. I mean, that communication is the primary tool of leadership if you're actually leading. Okay? So what should you communicate? Number one, where are you going? Number two, why are you going there? This why is the most important. If there's any other thing that you need to communicate, that is if you have only one thing, you communicate the why. Because when people understand the why, they are inspired to move further, to move further, to do it well. You should tell them how. You should tell them your current position. And how do you tell them position? Huddle board. Your huddle board tells them where you are in relation to where you are going. And then you should tell them your decisions. Any changes you have made. People should not just come to work one day and find out that they have been posted to a new branch. They should not just come to work one day and find out that they should be little or no, so they should be involved in these things. So back to our case study. Pangshin Hospital, 3 departments, 3 managers. Staff feels that it's us versus them. Staff versus management. Patient satisfaction is very low. Last week, a patient came in at 3:30. For those that joined us late, we had this case study at the beginning. We're taking it again. The patient came in at 3:30. The doctor on duty hurriedly sent them to the lab since she was closing her shift by 4 p.m. The lab noted that the patient had a life-threatening result. The pressure was 8.3, but the morning doctor has closed. So, what happened now? The lab person too was also closing by 4, so he too closed. It don't concern me too. Lab scientist closed, entered the result into the file. The evening doctor, who was a locum doctor, was overwhelmed since the last doctor has interfered. So he did not look carefully, and he gave only outpatient treatment for typhoid. The patient was brought in dead the next morning. Who is to blame? Can we try it now in the chat box? Who is to blame? Yes, can we try the chat box? Who is to blame? We had 4 options. Option 1 was the morning doctor. Option 2 was the night doctor. Option 3 was the lab scientist. Option 4 was the medical director. So now we have gone through the whole teaching and who is to blame. Okay, I'm happy. People are now getting it. I can see Dr. Chito. Well done. Who is to blame? Somebody still say the lab scientist. You have not been in this lecture. You have not been in this lecture. The system is bad. Patient satisfaction is not considered. Everybody, somebody said everybody. So now let's look at it. All the people are definitely to blame, but also they don't have a system. That Pangshin hospital definitely does not have a corporate identity. Maybe they just open the hospital, they cannot remember why that, or they have a mission on the board somewhere that nobody remembers. Their strategy is not clear. They obviously are not measuring their KPIs, because if somebody knew that the next morning somebody is going to check what happened, that doctor will not close as well. The lab person will not just close. If they have the right systems and the right people who are aligned, and the right incentives and the right leadership, then they will definitely come out with the right results in the end. All right. With that, thank you very much for listening. I'm happy to be here once again, and I think I'll be able to take some questions as this. By the way, on the 7th and 8th of December, we have a 10 CME course called the Abuja Cardiovascular Symposium, which is a wonderful course to get your people also working well. We'll teach protocols and standards and systems in healthcare, including a basic life support course. So thank you very much for having me here, Healthcare Leadership Academy, and thank you for leading the field in healthcare leadership, especially in Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Dr. Iseko. I want to just extend a sincere gratitude to you today. This session was insightful. It was engaging. You've left a lasting impact on our understanding. And so thank you so much. Thank you for your willingness to share this knowledge, because that has made this webinar it has made this webinar a valuable experience for everyone. And thank you very much. So I want to express appreciation for your time, your dedication, your valuable perspective that you've shared, your contributions. Everything has enriched our knowledge base. So thank you so much. So now I'll just invite my colleague Sukomi to take the Q&A session. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lillian. Thank you so much. That was a wonderful presentation by Dr. Iseko. Thank you so much, sir. It was insightful. Thank you for that, sir. So right about now, we are taking questions and answers. So in the course of the presentation, if you've had questions penned down, you can drop them in the chat box or then use your raise hand feature on the Zoom app so we can have your questions. And you can also unmute yourself, but I would prefer if we just raise our hands first so that it can be orderly. So we'll take questions now. All right. Okay. So someone, I got a question. Someone asks that in your experience, what will you regard as an appropriate balanced incentive? That's from Muhammad. What will you regard as appropriate balanced incentives? Yes, so that's a question. It's noted. Okay. So Kane Spiff asks that can you please share your top 5 KPIs in your facility? So that is noted down for the guests. All right, please keep sending in your questions. We still have room for more questions. So please keep sending in your questions. All right. Okay. I believe we should have questions. Like that presentation was fire. Okay. So this person is asking how effective can the principles be used in government hospitals? Okay. Okay, so someone is raising their hands. So please unmute yourself and ask question. Okay.
Yeah, that's Dr. Chito, I think.
Hello.
All right. Dr. Iseko, please, can you address some of the questions that have been posted here? Okay. So ask your question, please.
Okay, I wanted to ask. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, you know, there are times when you're hiring new staff and what I've noticed in hiring staff in this climb is that some of these, for example, doctors and nurses are coming from what we call like government hospitals, where there's a different kind of mindset in regards to how things are done, as opposed to what could be done in where how you describe what you do in your hospital. And I think the biggest hurdle is being patient. I don't know if this is what you experience in trying to create a mindset shift into how things should be done. How do you go about this? How are you able to really, because that's one of the areas that I get frustrated about is how do I change their mindset into how to be detail oriented, to the huddle, to improving communication, dealing with egos, and all those things that kind of also come with the background that they're coming from when they come from government institution or other hospitals that don't have these same measures. How do you do it?
All right, so let me try and answer some of the questions that have been asked. So how do we let me start with the last question by Dr. Chito. Thank you, Dr. Chito. How do we handle patients? staff with a wrong mindset, with a wrong this thing? The answer is the answer is really straightforward. Number one, don't hire them. Remember what we talked about that one of the key things that you must get right is to make sure that you do not you hire the right people. So if somebody does not fit your mold, really don't hire them. That's the truth of the matter. As much as you can, really don't hire the wrong people. People that do not are not going in the same direction you are going into. You have a tough time getting them on board. You have a tough time getting your team performance high, and that singular person can undo all your hard work. So if you can avoid it, please do not hire anybody. If you don't think is remember I said employment and people management is like a marriage. You cannot manage a spouse. You should not ideally marry somebody and not aim to change them when you marry them. Same thing. You should not hire somebody and not aim to change their mindset. No. So having said that, now you've hired somebody. Example of for those that are religious, the example of the Almighty. Down. If you value this, let it be clearly written down. This is how we give injection. We first greet the patient, then we tell the patient our name, then we ask the patient their expectations, then we explain to the patient what we're going to do, then we ask the patient if it is okay to go ahead. Then we give all information in form of a question. Can you please reduce? We don't say remove your trouser. We say, can you please remove your trouser? Then we go on to clean first, make sure we perform hand hygiene, then we finish. When we finish, we tell the patient, sorry. Then we ask the patient if they will need any other assistance, and we ask them if they have any other questions. Bam. This is how we do it here. Now, that is how you do for injection. That is how you prepare patients for surgery. That is how you prepare patients for every single thing that you do in your facility. The way you want it done, or you have developed it over time, must be written down. Now, when you hire somebody, you're planning to hire this person for life, hopefully. You should spend the first 5 days and take that time to teach them exactly all these things that you have laid down. Don't hire somebody and say that is where to start, go and start. And the process, not start trying to panel beat them, start trying to tell them no. No, it doesn't work like that. You should have everything written down and teach them. We have had people that are in the process of doing that, they leave. They say, this is not me. No. Sometimes I will come late to work. We said, no. Our start time is 15 minutes before resumption time. So we have a second clock. Our clock in this hospital is 15 minutes behind Nigerian time, and that's the time you have to resume. Some people can say no at that beginning. That is your courtship before you get married. So most times we hire staff and then they just move in straight and they don't understand these key tenets. And then we now start struggling and say they are not working like our people. A lot of times that they have not been taught. So that is what I think. Somebody said, how will we use these principles in government hospitals? These principles are universal principles. They are world over principles. I'm sorry I did not give you almost all the references, but the references will be at least 3 or 4 slides because this is lots of research work, lots of books, and all of that, and things that I have practiced. And I've told you that I've used these principles by the grace of God. We have moved from 120 to almost 440 staff. Of course, some people are feeling my blood pressure at the end of the month. But we've moved this, and by God's grace, at least a good number of them are doing very well. So these principles are workable anywhere. However, the peculiarity of government hospitals is that you don't always have the ability to hire and fire. And so you meet a team. The same principles matter. If you are the head of department or the head of a unit, let's assume I'm the head of cardiology in a government hospital. The first thing I will do is to write out a strategy for that unit. Where are we going? What do we hope to achieve? Then I will share with everybody, get all of them on board. The people that are not on board, those are the wrong people. I will excommunicate them one way or the other. I will send them to emergency room or something. or get their buy-in privately. Then I will take my time and I will also write out my KPIs. So in every government institution that you are, let's say you are head of department of medicine in a government hospital, you must also develop your KPIs. You must have your daily huddles with your key management staff, with the key departments, and everybody looks at what is it. I'll give you an example from one government hospital where I once worked. They wanted to get knife on skin by 8:30 a.m. for all departments because they spend so much time before they start that they end up doing so few surgeries in the theater. Now they had so many big names, too many big names. It was so difficult to call those people to order. So what they did was simple. They took the data, the measures. Remember, we said measures, and took the measure of knife on skin. Knife on skin, gynae theater, 8:45. Knife on skin, orthopedic theater, 11:45. Knife on skin, and published those numbers for the past 2 weeks, and kept on publishing those numbers week after week. Just by simply publishing those numbers, things started happening. People started seeing their numbers and started moving because everybody, human beings, are naturally competitive and naturally want to do well. Everybody wants to do well. Nobody is setting out to come to work to do bad. So by simply bringing out those numbers, people started to align. So these are the same principles that work everywhere. So you bring out the numbers, then you give them a common objective, then you communicate regularly. Communicate where you are going, how you are getting there, how you hope to get there, and all of those things that we talked about. Somebody says, two questions are very funny questions. Say, what are the top 5 KPIs for your facility? And that person says, what is an appropriate balance incentive to give or to whatever? The answer to this question is the same answer they gave me in my business school when I was in healthcare business school. The answer is depends. Nobody can ever give you the right KPIs for your facility. Only you can develop the right KPIs for your facility. Maybe we have another time that we talk about this aspect of using measures that we can go in there to 20 examples. But nobody can give you. In fact, finding out what your neighbor is doing will likely make you choose the wrong one for yourself. So if I told you these are the top 5 that we use in our facility or in our nursing department, or in our theater department, or in our cath lab, if you try and use them, you probably will get a worse outcome. So I will even bias you more. So you need to sit down. What are your own goals? From your own goals, from your own strategy, you will now devise what are the things that are important to me. Where are the places that we have had problems in the past? Maybe you've been having low numbers. Maybe you've been having too many post-op infections or whatsoever. You will now craft your KPIs around those places you want to see change in behavior. So you can never really get somebody else's behavior. Now, somebody asks, what are these an appropriate balance incentive? Again, it depends. What are your people like? Why are your people there? If you hire your people mainly with money, you took them from another hospital and say, look, they are paying 100,000, I will pay you 120. Automatically, you have simply hired people that are coming to work for a living. That is the lowest level. It almost means that your KPIs must be financial. I mean, your incentives must be financial because you have hired you have hired people that are looking out for their living. So that's why I cannot tell you what it is. Now, if you have done something, you got somebody in and you tell them this is where we are going, and the person says this is what I want. When you get to that level, when you are moving on principles, some people will want to come and work with you for free just because they believe what you believe. That is when you know that you're really getting. Those people now, the incentive is the fact that this is what we achieved this year. And when you are giving out an incentive, it will be because of those lofty things we achieved. We did the 6th Abuja Cardiovascular Symposium. We had over 400 people all over the country. We have seen better referrals since then. We have seen so number of people get well. This man that came to see us today said that his doctor listened to us and he did successful BLS and is alive today. Your staff will carry down. They are happy. Money can never buy that. So you can see that incentives can never be the same for two. It depends on your mix of people, who you hired, how you hired them, what are the things that your drivers, and how you think their behavior can be modified. Do not put an incentive for incentive's sake. In fact, we made $200 million to let us share. I think we should share with our staff. No. Because I'm trying my best not to quote Bible. Because you don't know what season is coming next. Maybe next year you're going to go into 500 million naira loss. What will happen then? Those people will be expecting that money. What will happen then? So you need to look at it critically. What are you giving the incentive for? The incentive must be tied to recognizing, rewarding, or influencing a behavior. You want to see more of something, then you will give an incentive in that direction. You want to see less of something, then you give an incentive in that direction. It also beats me. Same reason why you should not just give a query. You should not just give a punishment to a staff because they did something wrong. If you punish them and it's not going to see them change behavior or improve performance, don't waste it. Don't waste that punishment with ill will. Give only incentive, positive or negative, for things that you think will improve behavior and improve performance. I hope that helps.
All right. Thank you so much for your answers, sir. Thank you for providing answers to those wonderful questions. So because of our time, we'll move